That'd be great.
All right. All right. Everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We'll give it a minute. Let everybody join. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, welcome everyone. You are attending the Travel and Expense Concur Travel Booking and Agent Services. We are here today with our TMC, our travel management company. While UCR does not mandate the travel agency, we do highly recommend and prefer Anthony's Travel. And so they are here with us today to talk to you about the Concur Travel booking and agent services. But before we get started with that, I will turn this over to Sandy to cover some topics with you.
Hello, all. First off, we want a few housekeeping items. Chat is disabled, so if you have questions, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Enter your questions there, and then as we have dedicated times for questions, we will address those or address those directly within the feature. This recording is being trained. I'm sorry, this training is being recorded. Hopefully in the future be able to offer this virtually as a recording in LMS. This is just a sample, and it's intended to allow individuals to successfully be able to enter bookings into Concur Travel and also to utilize Anthony agent services. As a reminder, we have support and resources, and the primary location for that is going to be impact23.ucr.edu. So we do offer a full training with Concur, including use of Concur. However, today this is Anthony Travel. We're going to be talking about booking travel, the booking options, service fees, and benefits. Next slide, please. A little bit about Anthony Travel. They specialize in university business travel, athletic departmental travel, and study abroad programs. As Aver did mention, that Anthony Travel is UCR's recommended travel management company. It's not mandated, but very highly recommended. Use of Anthony Travel, as long as an individual, a travel arranger, has a pre-trip request ID number, the ghost card is available for use. A note that personal expenditures are not allowed on the ghost card or corporate T&E cards. Anthony Travel does offer agent services, or there is also the ability to book online directly within Concur if you have simpler or a simpler travel that can be completed. They offer 24/7, 365 support as well as emergency assistance. If there is a need for you to use SWABIZ, that still would be booked via Connects UC, UCOP's travel program. And travel booked with BCD or UCTC through Connects UC, which was formerly known as Connexus. Those must be purchased on a T&E or personal credit card, and reimbursement sought after the fact. Additional note too, I should have mentioned with the housekeeping items, Concur is currently only available to pilot departments. This is a precursor for individuals to become familiar with the program. But it is only available for individuals who are in the pilot program at the moment. Next slide. There are multiple options for booking. However, today we're focusing on two, using online within the Concur program, using the Concur Travel module, which really is the preferred method for booking university travel. You're going to save fees, and it's more direct to handle by the individual. But there is also a travel agent. You can call in for phone assistance with the trip. And we usually do recommend this if your trip is going to be more complicated, if you have multiple stops. It is recommended to incur the higher fee and work with an agent directly to ensure that your travel is booked correctly. Next slide. Here is a sample, well, actually not a sample. These are the Anthony Travel business travel fees. So be aware and look before you book. You do need to have an approved request ID, which is the pre-trip request. This is required to use the Ghost card for online bookings and agent services. A note that if a traveler books their reservation online with the online booking tool, and they do have questions for an agent, there is no upcharge for that call or consultation. However, if a traveler does conduct the search with the online booking tool and then uses an agent to book the ticket and reservation, the higher fee is charged at that point. We want to remind campus that although booking online with Concur or with Anthony Travel, you're hearing a different name than you might be used to. You might be used to BCD or UCTC. We are still leveraging the agreements that UCOP has in place. We are simply doing it through our travel management company that we prefer of Anthony Travel. All of these benefits and more are available, priority standby, preferred seats, priority boarding, automatic travel insurance registration, membership perks, involuntary denied boarding protection, and contract confidentiality. There are many more benefits that potentially are available, but just a reminder that we are leveraging UCOP's agreements that they have used the buying power of UC to leverage. Next slide. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the real stars of the show, Robert and Crystal Timmerman from, I'm sorry, not Concur, Anthony.
Thank you, Sandy. Everybody always gets us mixed up, Concur and Anthony, but we are strong players and partners with the university, so I can completely understand why. While Rob is sharing his screen, hopefully everybody can see it. I did want to just give you a little bit of insight about Anthony Travel. So as I mentioned, we are different. We are a provider of Concur technology. We're able to send or provide access through the GDS to the online booking tool, but we offer the best of both worlds. So you have a dedicated agent who's also joined this call. Her name is Josie, with the support of Debbie Abagani, who's also in the Ontario office. So as much as we love technology and all the amazing things that it can do, technology is just technology. It will only do what you tell it to do. It's going to get you from point A to point B with exact parameters that you input within the technology. The value behind having an agent-assisted support person behind the technology is allowing you to have that consultative role. So if you have questions about travel, what to expect, if you have group travel cannot be booked within the online booking tool. If you're going to a conference rates are not public, so you will not see those in here. That's really where we hope that you lean on Josie. Also keep in mind, you can book within international trips, but for complex trips that you haven't been on before, I really encourage you to leverage the partnership and the knowledge behind the online booking tool with Josie and team. So Rob, I'll let you kick it off, and I am sure, as always, I may interrupt and jump in and share some important information as we go through the demo of the online booking tool.
Awesome. Thank you, Crystal. Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Kane. I appreciate the time. Hopefully, again, everyone can see my screen that I'm sharing. Anthony Travel is only concerned, well, we're concerned with a lot of things, but travel is our bread and butter, right? So we're only, again, talking about the Concur Travel portion in the training today. As you can see, once you log in, this is specific to UCR. It's only for UCR staff and employees. Outside folks are not able to just willy-nilly log into this. We've made it specific. Sandy mentioned a lot of the benefits of Anthony Travel, but in doing so, we also leverage any UC system discounts within the tool. Obviously, from your profile, any information that is already stored there will apply to your trips. And as we go along, I'll highlight a lot of the benefits of the online booking tool, and in addition to some common mistakes that people might make when they're booking, just to educate the group here. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So the main page is here. Alerts is here at the top. I always like to start with this one. Obviously, alerts are important. So it could be everything from messaging from SAP Concur. This one's related to e-receipts. For unused tickets, any past COVID travel or things that were just canceled and you can use for future travel, you'll see those alerts also at the top here. Just has information of how much money you have to spend on future travel. You'll also see this in your profile and then also in the results, which I will show here once we get a booking going. So alerts are important. Company notes contains a lot of good, helpful information. We have Josie's contact information. So when UCR fully goes live, she'll be able to assist you with any and all trips. We have some additional contact information here. This Concur Travel support information. Again, all this information is static and will remain here when you log into Concur Travel. The Concur Travel support number still goes to Anthony Travel folks. That actually goes to people on the team that I'm on. We want to keep that in-house and try to service you best you can. So if you have problems with, you get an error in Concur or can't find a flight you're looking for or anything like that related to the online booking tool, we're obviously here to assist you with that. There's after hours contact information there for trips outside of Josie's working hours. And then we have some canned tutorials here of just how to book a flight, how to book a car, in case you forget what we go over today. You'll see the My Trips down here at the bottom. One of the benefits I've mentioned, we're going to talk a lot about benefits. One of the benefits of Concur and connecting it with Anthony Travel systems, whether you book it online or with an Anthony Travel agent like Josie, everything will feed into one place. So you don't have to remember, did I book this online? Did I book this with an agent? Everything feeds into one place for you to manage your individual travel. So that's always helpful for travelers so they don't have to remember that kind of stuff. Okay, before we do a booking, I do want to touch on how to book for others. There might be some on the call that need to book on behalf of other folks, whether you're a travel arranger or just need to look at their profile. So the way to do that is in the upper right. If you click on the profile button, and then you'll see a field in here. You can actually start typing in that person's name if you're able to book on behalf of them. So for this example, if I needed to book a trip for Sandy, I see her name there. I can fill that out, hit start session, and then everything I do from here on out is in Sandy's name, TSA information, rewards numbers, travel preferences if she has all that stuff filled out. So handy for arrangers that are booking on behalf of others. One common mistake we see folks do when they log on and get to the travel portion of Concur is they intend to book a trip for somebody else, but Concur will always default to booking for yourself first and foremost. So if you don't switch that view, you might accidentally book a trip for yourself. So just be sure that you're in the right view before you go ahead and start booking. You'll see the search wizard here on the left. There's tabs here at the top. Obviously, if you just need a car, select the car tab, fill out your values, and then hit search. Pretty standard, pretty basic. We're going to do all three just so everyone kind of see the results and the entire booking process. Okay, let me type in some values here. You'll see the round trip, one way, and multi-city tabs there. Multi-city was one of the options that Crystal was alluding to. Any complicated trips, you're obviously free to contact Josie or an Anthony Travel agent just to help you service those, but of course you can search for that on the tool as well. Let me select my dates, couple months out here, and there's an arrive and depart by function. I tend to leave that at depart. Obviously pick the time you need to leave, and then the plus or minus button is pretty important. This will affect the results. So one question we always see from users is, hey, I can't find the flight I'm looking for on Concur. Is it broken? Is something missing? You might just need to expand this number just to pull in a little bit more results to find those flights. So I'm going to set both of these to 5 just to make sure that we can get everything when we get to the results page. I'll check these 2 boxes because I need a car and a place to stay for the night. Different ways to search here. You can get very specific and try to search by an address or a reference point. I will stay by the San Jose Airport just to keep it easy. While we are collecting our results, another benefit of the Concur Travel piece and connecting it with our Anthony Travel systems is it's tied to the same system that Josie's looking up in terms of rates and inventory and options providing to all the UCR travelers. So it saves you time. You don't have to go to all the different airlines websites just to find different options. You don't have to go to something off key like Expedia or something like that. Everything's kind of a one-stop shop for you to find options, and it's the same as you would calling with an agent. There's a print email function. So on the off chance that you're just using Concur Travel for research, you're obviously welcome to look up options that way, and then you can email this off to yourself or someone else within your department or school, and then communicate your options that way.
Hey,
Okay.
Rob, this is Crystal. If you don't mind me jumping in really quickly here.
By all means.
One thing to please do note that Rob is doing a demo, so the site could lag a little more than what you're probably used to. That's one reason. Another thing too is I get oftentimes, well, I can go quickly to the airlines or to a consumer site and results populate much quicker. Keep in mind that Concur is doing so much more on the back end. So when I say it may be a little slower, we're talking seconds. And the reason that this is because it's looking at your profile information, the university's information, also embedded on the back end are those discounts and agreements that we talked about. So there is a lot of work done on the back end that you are not seeing. Another thing is it's looking for all the information that you've requested at the beginning and ensuring that by the time you get to purchase, it's not saying like a price line, whoops, that fare is no longer available. While yes, because of the volatility of the industry right now, I'll tell you, I put in a request in Concur and an agent emailed me within minutes and said that the fare is no longer available. Let's pick another one. And then when she went back in to help me, it was there. So I shared this with you because as you can imagine, this industry is completely different than what it was pre-COVID. We're seeing airfare change and increase quicker than ever before. It has a lot to do with obviously our fuel prices, but also weather emergencies or disruptions, and also the fact that many of our airline partners are struggling. There's not enough pilots that are getting the fleet up in the air, so market share is limited. There are not as many flights as there used to be. So one thing that I ask for you and what really I'm leading to is patience is key. Even if you feel like Concur is moving slow, there's a reason, and I promise you it's a valuable insight for it to really look at all the information. So again, I ask that everybody be patient. Travel is trying to get back to where it was with all the overhead, but right now our industry partners are really struggling. So sorry, Rob.
No worries, Crystal. Thank you. Okay, so here we are at air results. The matrix here is a nice feature of Concur Travel. It's interactive. So if you just wanted to, for example, see the American options, if you click on American, then that will show down the center. Likewise, if you wanted to filter by nonstop, or we're just flying up to the Bay Area, so I don't know why anyone would want to take a one stop, but if you wanted to filter that way, you can select one stop and that'll show all those options down below. I keep mentioning unused tickets just from past travel, so it's also in alerts and it will also show up in results. Keep in mind, I forgot to mention this before, you cannot use an unused ticket on the online booking tool. You would actually have to call an agent in order to apply that said credit. So there is visibility to the amount and the confirmation number and all that stuff. Just be sure that you contact Anthony Travel to use those funds. I am going to go ahead, and I said no one should take a one stop, but I'm actually going to go ahead and select this American option here. Okay, here is a review page for the flight we selected. Includes all the flight numbers and layover times and stuff. Again, making sure that you are either booking for the right person or you are indeed purchasing the trip for yourself, making sure that traveler's name is correct there. I've opened up the seat map. You can select your seats in Concur Travel You'll see all the available options. There's a legend down here that kind of tells you what's just a normal seat and then what is required for payment. If that is allowed within your policy or department rules, you can select a seat that is further up that might require additional payment, but there's not a spot in Concur Travel to provide said payment. So you would have to take a second step, whether that's through the airline directly or through an agent to do that. We always point this out regardless of who we're demoing this for or who the client is, just to make sure that everyone's aware of that fact. We've seen time and time again where people will select a seat and not do anything with it and think they're okay. And then when they check in or get to the airport, lo and behold, the airport has removed them or they don't have a seat assignment to begin with. So most folks will be okay with what's available and pretty normal. Just a word to the wise on those upgraded seats.
And just a reminder, we will never know your status with the airline simply because it does change so often. So even if you were to call us and say, I'm platinum with an American frequent flyer number, there's no way for us to validate it. In fact, I have a frequent flyer situation going on with another client right now. And as much as I'm trying to advocate for him, the airlines has nicely told me this is a private matter and they will not speak to anybody but the traveler. So just FYI, on top of, and I know Rob will speak to this in a minute, when you get your ticketed itinerary, you may see your seat has been confirmed, but I always recommend when you check in, see if your seat is still the same, because if you did have status or you no longer did and you weren't aware of it, they will move you.
Okay, we made our seat selection for that first leg. I'm going to skip the other three just because it's pretty self-explanatory and the same kind of concept. There's our total, and then we'll need to choose our form of payment. If you can always add to your profile in terms of adding another card to your profile for this flight. You'll see I have one here from the profile, and then there's also a ghost card that is available to be used for this flight specifically. So all that being said, travelers have the option to use one or the other. Since I checked that box in the beginning that we need to pick up and drop off a car at the San Jose airport, what this will do is kick us right into car results. If you did not check those boxes as you're going through a booking, have no fear, you can always add to your itinerary car or hotel later on. And I'll show you that when we get to that stage. Okay, here we are at car results. Cars are pretty easy to book in Concur Travel, right? There's less filters, less things to worry about. We have some custom messaging here just for UCR, just a friendly reminder. We have some car rental tips here at the banner at the top, and you'll see the same kind of matrix display as you saw in the flights. So again, this is all interactive. If you wanted to just show national options, maybe you have Emerald Isle and you want to just pick the car, you can select national and just the national options will show down the center. Same thing with car types. If you want to stick with midsize, click on intermediate and that will show you the intermediate cars with all the applicable vendors. Concur did change one piece to the car results, and we always like to mention this part. The totals you see here, that's the actual estimated total of the rental. That is not the per day price. This car is not $103 a day, which is quite a lot. You'll see the per day is down here in the middle of the results. Okay, I'm actually going to stick with the national midsize car. Okay, review page for that car we just selected together. Cars are pretty basic. You do not need to supply a form of payment like the air or the hotel piece, which we are about to do next. So I'm going to go ahead and hit reserve. And then again, I checked that box in the beginning to find a hotel. So the results doesn't start over. It kicks you right into a hotel results page. All right, no matrix here, but there's an interactive map that kind of shows you the location of all the properties within your search. Obviously, as you can do this with any of the results pages, air, car, hotel, you can always redo your search if you want to change that. It doesn't start over, or remove anything you've done previously. If you wanted to expand the miles radius, you're welcome to do so, or again, change how you're searching, whether it's an address or a reference point. There are 100 hotels to look through. That's kind of a lot. There's 4 pages. So instead of sifting through all these different pages of trying to find the hotel that you're looking for, there's a filter here on the left-hand side that's pretty handy, I should say. If you click on Super Chain, that shows all the big box brands. Most people like to stay at Marriott's, Hilton's. Everyone has their hotel preferences, right? Personally, for me, I'm a Marriott person. So if I select Marriott here under the filter property brand, then you'll see all the Marriott options down the center. So it's a quick and easy way to kind of filter and find your hotels that way. If I wanted to stay at this Fairfield Inn, I click on View Rooms, and we can see all the available options here. It's just me on the Strip, so I am fine staying with the King Room here at the regular rate. Okay, review page for the hotel, very similar to after you select something, flights and cars, same thing with hotels. You will need some kind of form payment in your profile just to guarantee the reservation. It doesn't actually pay for it. It's just to hold the room. Hotels like to do that just so people aren't booking up blocks of rooms without showing up. So you will need something in your profile just to guarantee. Here's the fine print that we all love to read. We'll check that box and then hit reserve. Okay, we're nearly done here. What Concur is going to do is put things in a nice little itinerary for us to review. We have 1 or 2 more pages, and then we'll be complete with the booking process.
I would definitely stress at least 2 more pages. Just as a quick reminder, I know we've mentioned this already, but once you complete the booking process, you will receive a ticketed itinerary from Anthony Travel. We have 24 hours to void any airline reservations without penalty, i.e. if it's a non-refundable, we still can get it if it's within the 24 hours of ticketing. If it's a Friday, we have till Monday. I cannot stress this enough. The reason that we send the ticketed itineraries is twofold. One, we want to obviously make sure you have any and all information and you know that your ticketed has been issued either through auto ticketing and or through Josie and team if it's an agent assisted. If you do not receive the ticketed itinerary, please contact us. Let us see. It could have, you may not have finished this process, which Rob will go through here in just a second. But another one is we want you to make sure that we have, everything that you have asked for, either through Josie and or in Concur. We still have this human element. We're all human. We all can make mistakes. So you have, once you receive that ticketed itinerary, please review it in detail. Make sure your name's spelled correctly, your dates, your times, etc., is all accurate. If it is not, please contact us within that 24 hours from the ticketed itinerary time so that we are able to void that reservation and start over. Again, you have 24 hours. So I cannot stress this enough. This is one of the main reasons that we do send you a ticketed itinerary so that you have the information, but also that you can be another set of eyes to make sure everything's correct.
That's a great point, Crystal. Thanks for mentioning that. It's kind of like your green light, so to speak. So once you receive that itinerary from us, from Anthony Travel, that means you're good. Even if you have booked something online, a number of things could happen. Something could cancel. Sometimes it needs agent intervention. So once you receive that itinerary, review like Crystal said, and then from there you should be good. Here is that itinerary I spoke of on the tool. So just confirming everything here is correct. You do have slight capabilities to change. For example, if I wanted to adjust the pickup date and time on my car, I can do that. Cannot adjust the vendor or the car type. So you can do that for air, car, and hotel. This isn't really confirmed yet because we haven't finished the booking process. If you needed to add to your itinerary, so you didn't check those boxes in the beginning, you just had a flight, for example, you can add a car at this stage, you can add a hotel before you actually finish out the trip. Okay, so we'll scroll down here and then hit next. And then some of these fields are optional. So if you want to rename your trip, you're free to do so. Most folks will just leave it at Concur will always default to the to and from destinations. You'll have to enter your approved pre-trip request ID and then just select whether this is for your trip purpose. And the last thing I will mention at this page here is the whole trip function. So you can go through everything that we've just done together in terms of selecting a flight and dates and all that good stuff. If you click on whole trip, there's a timestamp here. It's typically 24 hours, although that will depend on your time of travel. So if this is a same day travel situation, obviously that timestamp will change. You have 24 hours to go back in, or an arranger can go back in to finish out the booking. We don't see this too often, but in the event that it is needed, the whole trip option is here. We do want to remind folks that this does not save the actual fare or the price of the rental car or the hotel. That will always change. Things get sold out all the time. Crystal's been speaking about the volatility of the travel industry and how we're trying to get back to pre-COVID levels. So things are jumping up and moving down all the time. It does not save the fares. It just kind of saves your selections and your parameters that you've made so far in terms of the vendors and the dates. So do want to mention that. We're going to go ahead and click next because we want to finish out this booking. Here is one last review of the trip we booked together up to San Jose. If you close out your browser now, this trip will actually auto cancel probably that same day in a couple of hours. People see trip confirmation and think they're good. They have to scroll all the way down to the bottom and hit purchase ticket. Or if you're booking just a car or a hotel only, it'll say confirm booking. Once you hit this button, that's what sends it off to eventually be purchased and ticketed. So that's a common error that we see, folks not finishing out their sessions and closing their browsers unexpectedly. At the alerts page at the top, when you first log in, if you see a trip that's in progress, it'll be shown in bright red. That will show up and appear there if you have a trip that you didn't accidentally finish, or maybe on purpose you didn't finish the booking process. So that will show at the top here in alerts. Okay, here's our second trip that we did together on the right-hand side. If you needed to, this question came up on Tuesday, if you needed to cancel a trip that you made on Concur Travel, it's easy to do that. You can click on more, and then there's a cancel this trip button there. If you needed to just cancel maybe just the hotel portion, maybe you're staying with a friend or you're going to make other accommodations. If you clicked on cancel this trip, that will cancel out the entire trip. So what you would have to do is go back into the trip that's in question, and you'll have an option to cancel that specific segment just to adjust your travel plans. So you'll see here, if you hit cancel here, that obviously adjusts just the car. Same thing for the hotel. Obviously, Anthony Travel and Josie will be here to help with any changes and cancellations to your travel, whether that's pre-trip before you booked it or after you booked something. But I wanted to mention this because it came up on Tuesday. You do have the option and possibility to cancel certain things after you book something online. Okay, so we've gone over a number of things. We've talked about how to book for others if you're an arranger and need to book for someone else at UCR. We've talked about some of the benefits of how everything syncs to Anthony Travel systems. So we're talking apples to apples. We've talked about discounts and how that's already preloaded, including traveler profile information. We went through a booking, flight, car, hotel, just to cover all those different pieces and see the different results. So I'm going to pause there for now. I know that I've been talking for a little bit, and I don't know, Sandy, if you want to open it up for questions or where we go from here next.
Well, we actually have not had any questions added to the Q&A. So absolutely open it up if anyone would like to, if they have a question, if they'd like to type it in the question and answer field at the moment. I would like to point something out that if you are an arranger booking on behalf of an individual, you are the one who should be selecting the purchase ticket. If your traveler is going to go in and put the trip on hold, they should not move past that point. They should put the the trip on hold and then notify the arranger to go in and complete the booking for them. If they select purchase, it's going to try and go through the process of purchasing, and then they may incur higher fees because it's going to kick it out because they are not a travel arranger. So just wanted to point out that they need to stop at that hold ticket and not move any further. Okay, we have a question. How do I obtain the trip ID? That is done by putting in a pre-trip request in Concur. So the pre-trip request is entered using the request function. And then once that is approved, there is a trip ID associated with that number. I'm sorry, with that request. And that is the 4-digit number that would be entered in if you are wanting to use the ghost card for your traveler. Will we have a grace period for learning this new system? Yes. I believe we have had prior trainings, and there will be several more trainings offered. I believe we have a full system training in July, and then another one in August. And that's the training that was referenced at the beginning, which is the end-to-end training. I am not 100% certain on what the exact time frame is for a grace period with iTravel. However, we do anticipate there being a little bit of crossover between the two. How does a traveler submit their profile in order to have a coordinator book their trip? Travelers who are, anyone who is a traveler needs to have the role established by the SAA in EACS. So it's similar to how it is now with iTravel. The department SAA would set up the individual as a traveler or whatever other role they have. It's the same for arrangers and so on and so forth. It takes an overnight process, but the next business day, the travel arranger would be able to select the individual as acting on behalf of that individual. That's all the questions at the moment. Oh, here we go. Will our current travelers carry over to this system, or will it need to be set up again? No, there is no carryover. Concur will, once Concur goes live, SAAs will need to establish the roles within the new, for the new system. Even travel not booked here will require a pre-travel approval. Yes, it is UC policy that all travel should be authorized prior to commitment to reimburse or pay. There are multiple reasons why it is recommended and encouraged for travel to be approved in advance. There is a risk management perspective on and a duty of care to ensure that we are aware of where our travelers are, and in the case of catastrophes, pandemics, those types of situations. So yes, the pre-trip request is a requirement prior to travel, and it should be completed in advance of the travel taking place, and it will be required before expenses can be reported in Concur for clearing or reimbursement. If a faculty member books their own flight, should their role be set as travel arranger? only if you want them to have access to the ghost card. I would not recommend that otherwise. Individuals, faculty members, if they are wanting to use their credit card, or if they apply for a T&E card under the new T&E card program, they can enter those card numbers into their profile and use those for booking. And a traveler can book for themselves as long as they are using a card other than the ghost card. So if they are needing to use a ghost card, they would need to be a travel arranger. I don't know that we recommend them having that access unless they need to prepare on behalf of another individual. In the sense of travelers booking and UC paying, it will work the same as now, but no PO, correct? That is correct. The difference is we are not requiring a PO number be generated. That pre-trip ID is how it will note that it's to be allowed to be booked on UCR's ghost card. And it will be processed that way and reconciled with an expense report. Can travelers hold a trip and send share with the travel arranger to finalize purchase? I'm going to ask that of Rob or Crystal. Is there a feature for them to send something directly from the system to the travel arranger?
I would say to that question, Sandy, the closest thing that is possible is to use that print email feature when you get to results. So you can indicate who you want to send those results to, whether it's a flight or a number of flights, and then you can share it that way. Then that's before anything is purchased or booked, right? So that's probably the closest way to attain that.
Okay, thank you. How would the FAU work for this expense? In this case, the departmental FAU, I believe, is not going to be charged until the expense is reported. Aver, do you have any additional information on that?
Sorry, I was trying to answer the question.
Sorry.
What was that?
The question was, how would the FAU work for this expense? So for the airfare expense on the ghost card, I'm guessing is the context. So what I had stated was, my understanding is that the FAU will be charged when the expense report is submitted after the trip.
Correct.
And it's UC will be paying it initially, and then it'll be charged to the department, right?
Correct. Yes.
Rob, would it maybe be possible, I know we moved past that point, but would it be possible to show that screen you had referenced with potentially a traveler using it to notify their travel arranger? Is that something we can view, or would we have to start a whole new reservation?
I can do another search real quick. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just so we can get a visual. I know it helps me to have a visual sometimes.
So the print email function is right here at the top here. I'm waiting for my results to kick in. But obviously, if you pinpoint down on a flight, then when you click print email, another window will pop up. I can expand this. Sorry, I'm having trouble navigating. And then if you email flights, another window pops up where you can add in the actual email and then actually do a full-on email with a subject line and then a body in the message part. So that is one way, probably the only way that I can think of in terms of the travel portion, to send specific flight options or car or hotel to someone else.
Okay. And this is available in the front end, not once they put it on hold?
Yes, this is strictly when you are searching. So at the result
Okay.
pages.
So follow up on this one, when they put a trip on hold, do they get some sort of email confirmation that they've placed a trip on hold?
Yes, the system will send you a notification saying the trip is on hold. And as you're approaching that timestamp that I spoke of, again, typically 24 hours, it all depends on the travel date and the ticketing deadline. You will actually be sent another one as a reminder saying, FYI, this trip is still on hold. Please log into Concur Travel and finish out the booking process. So there are several notifications that are sent to the traveler.
Okay, so they could effectively use that to forward to their arranger as well once they've put it on hold.
Yes, in theory, yes.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
gonna add that.
Good distinction there.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so a new question. When booking hotel, airfare, and car rental, will the final itinerary have breakdown of pricing, tax, service fees, resort fees, parking, etc. for each when you enter the traveler's trip for reimbursement? Should they be using their own CC and not Ghost Card? I think there's more than one question. I can speak for the itinerary for the airfare. The airfare should include all of the taxes, airfare, and fees, correct?
Yes, and
But-
I'm showing that on our test booking we did together, Sandy.
Thank
You're
you.
absolutely correct. So it'll have a spot for the taxes and fees. In terms of the hotel and cars, though, these are just estimated. Obviously, someone could return a car earlier or have a longer hotel stay, and that won't include any of those additional.
Correct. Right. And that's what I was gonna confirm next, is that this is for the hotel and car. This is just a reservation. You have not actually incurred the expense yet. And once the stay is completed, that agency should provide you a fully itemized receipt for that purchase when you're charged. And that should have a breakdown of all the fees.
Yep,
So go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob. I cut you off.
No, it's okay. The only thing I was gonna add, that's a major difference between how an airline operates versus a hotel and car, whereas those are until you pick up or stay at the hotel and then finish out your trip with them, the flight you pay for upfront before your travel happens.
Right. So the so the last part of the question, should they be using their own CC and not Ghost Card? The airfare, as long as it is being finished by an arranger, that can be charged to the Ghost Card with a pre-trip request. The hotel and rental car is only a reservation. If I was understanding what Rob was telling us earlier, the hotel does require a credit card to hold the room, but it's not really charging anything. They would still need to provide a credit card when they check in. And at that point, yes, they would be using their credit card, or if they've applied for a teeny card, they could use that for their rental car and their hotel. The hotel and rental car are not being prepaid by UC using the Ghost Card.
Yep, that's correct, Sandy.
Hopefully, Dara, that all made sense. I was trying to break it down as best I could to make sure I answered all your questions. If not, please feel free to provide additional feedback in the Q&A. Allison said, I think my concern is that there will be an issue or confusion with hotel, rental, flight, and the separation of payment. The hotel and rental car is simply a reservation. We are not paying for it. It would be incumbent upon the departments, the arrangers, to communicate this information to their travelers if they're going to be going in and putting expenses on hold for you to book an airfare with the Ghost card, or they should attend one of these trainings if future offerings are made. I think hopefully if there's some explanation given, hopefully that could alleviate some of their concern. I don't know if anyone else would want to add anything to that.
So I'm wondering, if she's talking about booking online.
What should it look like if they were to book flight and reserve the other two? As far as the itinerary,
Robert, yesterday, or not yesterday, but Tuesday, didn't you show that there was that they would put their credit card in for the airfare? I mean, not for the airfare, for the hotel and lodging?
Yes, let me pull another hotel search up real quick and I can show that view. You won't need a card for a car rental reservation because like Sandy has said, it's just a reservation, right? And then you pay for it. You provide for payment when you pick up the rental vehicle. Let me select a hotel here once this gets loaded and I'll show you that view again. And again, nothing to do with the Ghost card for hotels. This is strictly based on, it's actually not even available to be selected, that Ghost card. That's just for flights. This is all coming from my test profile. So whatever is in the traveler's profile is what would need to be used. And again, it's to guarantee the hotel reservation. It's not to prepay or pay for the actual stay. Just like the car, when you check in, you have to provide form payment. And then that's what the hotel will use when you check out.
Right. And to me, it's similar. Like if you go to hotels.com or Priceline, they're not going to hold that reservation unless you, for a hotel, unless you put a card number and unless they specify up front, they're not necessarily charging your card. They're not going to make that reservation without them having some sort of guarantee that it's viable, that it's going to be paid for if you don't show up.
Right. So then I just want to ask, so if I'm remembering from Tuesdays, if there was an airfare attached to this, that they would have to do this for the hotel, and then they would still go to, towards the end of this, go down there and pick Ghost card for the airfare. Is that correct?
Yep, because it'll be two separate views. Because when you pick a flight from Air Results, then you'll have a different form of payment option with a Ghost card, and then for hotels, it's just a different view as to what you're seeing on the screen there.
Right.
Okay. So similar view, but the Ghost card will only be available for flights.
So so there was additional, the concern for confusion is when it gets to the hold page. So could we maybe go to the hold page and see what it looks like there so I can try and understand, again, the visual. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I will need to do a flight search again.
So real quick, while Rob is doing that, no one's asked the question, but I'm going to bring it up because sometimes we did get it a lot in the last session. Individuals that were wanting clarification on the Ghost card versus a T&E card. The Ghost card is a central card that's held by the agency. It is not a card held by an individual. So that is what Anthony Travel is using to pay for these reservations. And then UCR is paying US Bank, who the card is through, for these charges. A travel and entertainment card, or the T&E card, is a card that an individual card holder has. So the traveler would have a physical card, and they would be using that for booking and paying for expenses, and then that would be flowing through. And still, in the new program, it will be paid by UC directly, but it would be a separate card. And again, the individual physically has a card to use. Okay, so Rob, okay, so you're going to pick the ghost card for, this is the airfare, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like Crystal said before, there's always a slight delay for whatever reason, whether I'm on Zoom or Teams or any other meeting program. There's just a slight delay when I'm sharing my screen versus if I'm just on my browser booking myself. So this will come up here shortly. And the next page is the itinerary. Then we'll hit next, and then we'll get to the whole trip function.
Thank you.
Either that or I need to check my Wi-Fi, one of the two.
In my case, it's my VPN has kicked me out and I have to relog in for the 50th time.
Okay, so the whole trip button, in case people don't know, is after you've selected the air, reviewed the itinerary, you're still not done, but then you're taken to this page, and this is where the whole trip function is.
Okay, so in this case, then, Allison, there are no totals listed here. So does that resolve the concern for issues of confusion? I'm not sure if it does. So so while we give Allison a chance to provide that additional feedback, another question. So no need to process PO for airfare when the ghost card is used, or will we still need to process PO for airfare because ghost card is being used? Just wanted to clarify. In Concur, in the new Concur program, booking online through Anthony Travel, no, there will not need to be a PO generated. During the transition period, if individuals are still booking with Connects UC using BCD or UCTC, yes, you will continue to generate a PO for those. But eventually, the ghost card will be removed from those. And at that point, individuals would need to use their T&E card or their personal credit card. But for full disclosure, Concur, Anthony Travel, no, there is no PO number associated. As an arranger, what will I see when I log into Complete? So that is a follow-up from Allison. So say that the traveler has put this on hold. What would the arranger see when they log into Complete?
Okay, that is a good question. What you would need to do as an arranger is you'd first have to pull over whoever you're booking on behalf of. And once you follow the steps that I've shown before of pulling up the person's name, hitting start session, you will see either under alerts or under my trips. You can also click on my trips. You will see what's been ticketed or what has been put on hold. You can see there's a status column here. So it's pretty easy to tell, even if you weren't a traveler and you're popping in someone's profile and you're booking on behalf of them as an arranger, you can see which one is not finished out if you didn't know the trip already.
And it would show under the status as on hold?
I believe it would say on hold, yes, because this in progress is a different designation. That's simply I didn't finish out the process, which is different than putting a trip on hold.
Right, okay. Now you said it's a trip library. There was one other area, I apologize.
I believe it might show up under alerts, although don't quote me on that. I think the safest way is to just go under the trip library so you can see everything that is ticketed, pending, all that stuff. Alerts might just show what is in progress, like you see up here.
Okay. And then that view of those, so when they go into there, it's going to show everything, correct? The the full reservation, the airline, the hotel, the car rental?
Yep, that's correct. Everything the traveler booked
Okay.
for that specific trip, it'll show all
Okay.
3 of those things.
Okay, I'm not seeing too many more questions come through. See, Robert and Crystal, you guys are good.
Today has been a good one. Rob was on point today. I didn't interrupt as much as last time. One thing I do just want to add, and I know I mentioned it earlier, patience is really key. We have just seen an influx of travel since really post-COVID travel is what I like to call it. And I cannot stress enough, please book your airfare as soon as you know, or it's been approved by your appropriate manager, whomever needs to. And you know you're going on that trip. You can always go back and add. For example, I'm going to visit a campus in 6 weeks. I went ahead and booked it today. And as I told you earlier, that fare just in a matter of minutes was fluctuating. So I really cannot stress it enough. Book it as quickly as possible. Have patience when you're at the airport. Make sure you plug in the appropriate numbers that Rob showed on the main page of Concur earlier on how to reach Josie or after hours. Because in the event that you experience any trip disruptions, we want to be first in line to be able to help you, but we also recognize that we want you to be able to reach out to anybody. So even if you reach directly to the airlines, they can help you even though you booked within the program. But good luck to everybody. And Aver, I will stop talking and turn it back over to you.
All right. Well, all right. So if there's no other questions, then we want to thank you for your participation. Thank you for coming out and hearing all the good information that we had to share with you today. But we wanted to just remind you that will have other UCR travel and expense training will be on July 13th and August 17th. And then there's the travel and entertainment card that's online. So anyone who's in need of a travel and entertainment card, once we go live, you will be able to go to apply, but you can take the training now. So let me back that up. You can actually go in to LMS and take the training now to prepare yourself for go live, because the travel and entertainment card online training is a requirement in order to get the new T&E card. And then office hours will consist of a 15-minute hot topic training covering the most asked questions about Concur, followed up by a Q&A. And they will, office hours will be launched when Concur's live. Okay, oh, we have one more question. When will this recording be posted? That's a good question. I'll let Laura respond on that one.
Yeah, thanks so much, Aver. I think that this was a great session, and I think that we ought to be able to get this one posted in UC Learning. We understand that, you know, you're not in the system yet, and you're going to want to go back and review all of Robert's expert guidance once you're actually trying to perform or book a trip. So we'll make sure this is in UC Learning before we go live. It should be in there by the end of this month. Thanks, Aver.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out and wish you all a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time.